So, starting with today's lecture, we are discussing the examination of the patient from Kant's philosophy, and these are the continuation of topic that is from 23. Topic 23, 24, 25, and 26. All these topics are related to the examination of the patients, and this is on the reference of case taking, that is aphorism number 83 to 104. And in these topics, Dr. Kent explained his view regarding the case taking. So, in this, we finished the topic number 23, 24, and 25. Now the last topic remaining, that is the topic number 26, the continuation part of the examination of the patient. So we will see what is given in chapter number or lecture number 26 by Dr. Kent in Kant's philosophy. So I think all of you understand the prior topics, that is 23, 24, and 25. Now starting with topic number 26. So we will see what Dr. Kent explained. So in this, he explained about the examination of the patient, that is, it is important to avoid getting confused by two disease images. They may exist in the body at the same time. So in this para, he explained about, that is, when two diseases exist in the body at the same time, then what to do in that cases. That is, if two diseases, it may be a similar diseases or it may be a dissimilar diseases. So in that case, when two diseases meet together in body at the same time, at that time what to do by the physician to treat these cases. So in this, it is important to avoid getting confused by two disease images at that may exist in the body at the same time. A chronic patient, for instance, may be suffering from an acute disease, and the physician, on being called, may think that it is necessary to take the totality of the symptoms. But if he should do that in an acute disease, mixing both chronic and acute symptoms together, he will become confused and will not find the right remedy. The two things must be separated. The group of symptoms that constitute the image and the appearance of the acute miasm must now be prescribed for. The chronic symptoms will not, of course, be present when the acute miasm is running, because the latter suppresses or suspends the chronic symptoms. But the diligent physician, not knowing this is so, might wrongly gather together all the symptoms that the patients had in the lifetime. Again, on the other hand, in gathering together the chronic symptoms for a prescription, it is sufficient to mention merely that the patient has had typhoid or measles or other acute miasms. Such diseases are not a part of chronic miasms. The symptoms of acute attack were separate and by themselves. So in this para, Dr. Kent wants to explain that is, when two disease conditions may exist in the body at the same time, means a patient is suffering from some chronic disease and at the same time he having some acute disease in his body. So what to do in that condition? So physician who is not diligent physician, who is not knowing about the disease condition, in that he can make a mistake, that he make the totality of both, that is of acute and a chronic disease condition, and give the remedy, but that remedy will not be the correct remedy for this disease condition, as he makes the acute and the chronic disease condition and prescribe the medicine. As an intelligent physician may not do this, but a physician who don't having too much knowledge about homeopathy or the disease condition, he will mix the acute and chronic symptom and prescribe the remedy, and that remedy will not act. So why that remedy will not act? So in this he later explained that is acute miasm is different condition and the chronic is different condition. So in this, when acute attacks the chronic sufferings, or when chronic condition is present in a patient and acute disease is attacked, in that condition that acute disease condition may suppress or suspend the chronic condition. So in that period, the chronic symptoms that are not appearing due to the effect of that acute condition. So in that case, it is the duty of physician to treat that acute condition and do not mix that acute condition with a chronic condition. So in this he explained as that is the chronic symptoms will not, of course, be present when the acute miasm is running, because the latter suppresses or suspend the chronic symptoms. That is, when the acute miasm attacking the patient, the chronic symptoms get suppressed or suspend. That you know that when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body, if the first one is that is old and new, so old disease is weak and the new disease is strong. In that case, the disease condition, that is the old disease condition, may get suspended, or new disease suspend the old disease. So in that way the old disease gets suppressed or suspend and the new disease run its course. So in that condition, it is the duty of physician to prescribe the medicine for that new disease condition. And when that new disease condition over, then again that old disease reappears. Then he has to treat that old disease. So it is the condition regarding, that is the when two disease condition meet together in body, that is the acute condition and a chronic condition. So after this, Dr. Kent explained as you must realize that the effort to prescribe for two distinct miasm will result in error. So the you must realize that the effort you take to prescribe the two distinct miasm will result in a error. And if you practice in a western part of the country, you will often get confused cases, a sample of which would be about as follows. So in that Dr. Kent explained that is it is the difficult task to treat the acute and the chronic condition at the same time. But if you are practicing in a western part of this country, means where Dr. Kent is practicing homeopathy, in that the western part of the country, you will often get confused cases. So in that you will find there are number of confused cases in that area. So in this, he give one example of these confused cases as a patient. This is the example of this confused case. So in this, a patient has suffering from intermittent fever and has been treated with medicines, that is quinine, arsenic, and low potencies of this and that drug. So if the patient is suffering from some intermittent fever, this is example explained by Dr. Kent, that is patient is suffering from intermittent fever and he has been treated with medicines. That is, when he is suffering from intermittent fever, for that intermittent fever he gets some medicines, that is like of quinine, arsenic, or low potencies of this and that drug. That is, there are number of drugs he took for this intermittent fever until the case has been complicated, and due to taking of these number of drugs the case becomes complicated. You learn that the symptoms now are different from what they were in the beginning, that there has been a transformation seen. You prescribe for them as they are now, regarding it as a species of malaria. You prescribe for them with a view to antidoting all the drugs. That is, now what image you have of that intermittent fever is totally different from the what is it is present before taking the medicine. That point we will discuss in previous chapter also. That is, the image of a disease gets changed after taking of some medicines, and in this you learn that the symptoms now are different from what they were in the beginning, that there has been a transformation seen, you prescribe for them as they are now, regarding it as a species of malaria. And now you prescribe them it as a what is the disease condition present, it is a species of malaria, and you prescribe for them with a view to antidoting all the drugs that he had, and your remedy brings about a surprise. And when you prescribe taking the totality presently, that is as a species of malaria, and you prescribe some medicine on the basis that you have to antidote the effect of that previous medicines, and in that case you find a wonderful manner result. So in this you brings about a surprise, it open out the case in a wonderful manner. And when you give the medicine for this complicated case, in that case that medicine open up the case in a wonderful manner. The patient up to this time was unable to give anything descriptive of the original state of his malaria. That is, up till now patient is not giving any symptom regarding his state of malaria, but he comes back in the course of a week or two and says, doctor, I am now as I was in the beginning. And now the patient is telling, doctor, I am now as I was in the beginning. And now, due to giving your medicine, the case opens and the patient gives the symptoms which are present in the beginning of a disease condition. So in that, well, what are your symptoms now? The physician asks to the patient that what are your symptoms now? And you will find out that one evening he has a 5 o'clock chill with its accompanying symptoms that last him a good portion of the night, and then he has a well day, and the next forenoon he has an 11 o'clock chill and then a well day. If you examine each of these states, you will find that the two chills begin in a different place, and the heat of each begins in a different place, and the symptoms of the two attacks are totally different. Such a thing will seem unlikely to one who has never seen it, but one who has lived in the West and practiced accurately will see such things unknown to those who have practiced what is called as a quinine homeopathy. A correct prescription will disentangle these two malarial miasms and show that two exist in the body at the same time, each having conditions quite different from the other. These two can coexist and have their own times and expression without interfering with each other to any great extent. The big doses of quinine will complicate them and cause a general clouding of things so disorderly that nobody can tell anything about it. So in that condition, or in this example, Dr. Kent explain as, so what Dr. Kent explain, that is, you have a patient of intermittent fever and you give some quinine, some arsenic or number of medicines, due to which the original picture of the disease gets changed, and in that case you prescribe some medicine as what present totality is present. So in that on that total present totality you give some medicine, and that medicine bring a wonderful change in a patient, as that medicine causes the old symptoms reappears, or the what is the, it opens the case, what is in the beginning that opens the case. And in that, when physician asks to the patient, now what are your symptoms, so in that the intermittent type of fever, there are two types of intermittent fever having the totally different picture, and why this different pictures happens is now only be understand by the intelligent physician, and it is due to, that is, there are two disease condition now present in a body, and these are due to the bad effect of a quinine, and that is called as a quinine homeopathy. As two different disease condition present, that is, they are separate from one another, and they form the different pictures in the body. So you will see the different types of intermittent fever in that patient. So in this, the big doses of quinine will complicate them and cause a general clouding of things, and due to which there is a general clouding of things, so disorderly that nobody can tell anything about it. Now these two disease condition present in a body and no one can tell about it. What is this? So this is the quinine homeopathy, due to the bad effect of quinine that patient took before for that intermittent fever. And in such a case, you were to attempt to prescribe a remedy that had both these groups, you would fail to cure. Select the worst one and let the other one alone, entirely ignoring it. It is a bad policy to give one remedy for one and the another for the other. Single out the worst one and cover it carefully with a remedy, and you will find it disappear and one comes on just as if the patients had not a remedy at all. So this is for this disease condition, that is which is the worst condition. You have to treat that first and then the other condition, and in this way, just as if the patient had not a remedy at all. So now, do not be too great to hurry about removing the second one. You will find that after one has been removed, the patient will improve and the one that has remained will become more and more apparent from day to day, and then prescribe for it. So in that case, when two disease conditions are present in your body, they are totally different from one another. So you have to select the first remedy for the which is the worst one, that is which is severe condition. You have to prescribe for this, and after this you have to wait for some time, and after this, that is if first complete its course, the second will reappear and second will develop more and more, and after developing you have to prescribe the medicine for that this second condition, that is then prescribed for the second condition. So this is the example given by Dr. Kent to give the example, that is of when two disease condition present in a body and how they developed. That is, this is the case of intermittent fever and how these two disease conditions are developed due to the bad effect of a quinine that complicate the disease condition, and two separate intermittent fevers now present in a body of a patient. So in that case, first you have to treat the worst one and then you have to treat the second one after it has developed more and more, and then prescribe for it. So this is one of the example that Dr. Kent explained. So all of you understand the example, or can I explain again? All of you understand? Yes, all of you understand? All of you understand the example that is regarding the two disease conditions when present in a body at the same time of different nature. Then we move forward. So in this illustrates the doctrine of not prescribing for an acute and a chronic trouble together. So this is for the reason that you have to not prescribe the medicines that is acute and chronic together. Never prescribe for any two conditions unless they may be complicated. Only chronic diseases can be complicated with each other. The acute is never complicated with the chronic, and the acute suppresses the chronic and they never become the complex. Of course, the allopath will tell you about the sequelae of measles, scarlet fever, etc., but they know nothing about it, and their pathology teaches them nothing which is true concerning it. That which comes out after all self-limiting diseases have run their course is not due to the disease itself. The sequelae of measles are not due to the measles. The sequelae of scarlet fever are not due to the scarlet fever, but to a prior state of a patient. A psoric disorder may come after scarlet fever or measles and must be treated as a SORA. So in that para, Dr. Kent explain or give the theme of this up till now we studied, that is to illustrate the doctrine of not prescribing for an acute and a chronic trouble together. So when in body, if chronic disease is already present and acute attacks that chronic body, in that case you have to not treat that acute condition and chronic condition together. So in that, never prescribe for any two condition unless they may be complicated. So only chronic diseases can be complicated with each other, that is when two chronic diseases present simultaneously in the body, they complicate with each other, but not the acute disease complicate the chronic disease, as acute disease suppresses the chronic disease, and after the course of acute disease is over, then chronic disease reappears. So in that case, the acute is never complicated with a chronic, the acute suppresses the chronic, and they never become the complex. So this is regarding, that is acute disease and chronic disease. So when in your body there is presence of a chronic disease and acute disease attacks you, so in that case while prescribing the medicine for this acute condition, you have to consider only the acute condition of a patient, and you have to not mix that acute condition with a chronic condition and prescribe the medicine. That you have to prescribe only for that acute exacerbations or the acute disease condition, and after that you have to treat that chronic disease separately. Then in next para, Dr. Kent explain as these sequelae, regardless of the disease which stirs them up, are psoric and crop out at the weakest time, which is the convalescent period. The better the acute disease is treated, the less likely there are to be any sequelae. If measles and scarlet fever are treated properly, we have very little trouble afterwards. So in that they again explain about the scarlet fever and measles. That is, if there are some disease condition that affects the body, and when that disease condition affects, that leads to the, that is the formation of miasm, or a psoric disorder may come after scarlet fever or measles and must be treated as a SORA, that will lead to the formation of SORA in that patient. So the better the acute disease is treated, the less likely to be there are to be any sequelae. So you have to treat properly the acute diseases, you have not to suppress that acute diseases. When you suppress that scarlet fever and measles, that leads to the symptoms of SORA, and SORA may develop in a patients. So sequelae should always be charged up to a great extent to the physician. Of course, you will find now and then constitution extremely sorry, almost in a condition of advanced decay, and for malignant scarlet fever in such a patient, it is difficult to find a proper remedy, and then the very best physician in the world may make a mistake. Yet, with good treatment in ordinary cases, you should not expect sequelae such as sore eyes, running nose, running ears, etc. So in next para, Dr. Kent explain as it is the greatest importance in such cases to be able to separate and distinguish one thing from the another, so that you may know what you are prescribing for. That is, when you are prescribing the medicine, you must distinguish a one thing from the other thing, and in this you cannot prescribe an antipsoric in order to prevent the sequelae following the scarlet fever while the scarlet fever prevails. Prescribe first for the acute attack the symptoms that belong to it. It is well, however, for the physician to know all the symptoms that the patient has of a chronic character, that they may know what to expect, that he may look at the close of an acute attack for the coming out of old manifestations of sora, although often an entirely new group of symptoms will appear. When at the close of scarlet fever, trouble comes about the ear and dropsical conditions come on. These are not a part of the scarlet fever itself, but the state of economy. The dropsical condition or the acute bright disease must be associated with soric state, and the symptoms then will lead to you to a constitutional remedy. If you have a view simply the bright disease, you will make a mistake. You will fall into prescribing for ultimates if you have but the name of the trouble in mind. For instance, giving apis, which is, which the book says a wonderful remedy for bright disease following scarlet fever. So in that he explained about, that is, if you have an acute disease condition and you know that the acute disease conditions give leads to the sora, or when you suppress that acute disease condition, that leads to the symptoms of sora. So in that case, for the first time for acute disease, you cannot prescribe the antisoric medicine for these acute diseases. As acute disease is firstly present in a body, you have to prescribe the medicine on that acute condition only, and not that is complicated with, that is antisoric medicine, that will lead the mixing of that acute condition with a chronic condition that is present in a patient, and that will lead to the more complicated disease condition in that patient. So when prescribing the medicine for acute disease condition, you have to give the medicine similar to that acute disease condition, and then you have to prescribe the medicine. And firstly, you have not to prescribe the antisoric medicines directly to the acute disease condition, as there is not suppression. When there is a suppression of acute disease condition, or it is treated in a wrongly way, then and you find the soric symptom in that patient, then and then only you have to prescribe the antisoric medicine. Then in next para, Dr. Kent explained as, it is a great mistake for anyone to fit remedies for complaints or state. It is a fatal error for the physician to go on the bedside of a patient with a feeling in his mind that he has had cases similar to this one, and thinking thus, in last in the last case I gave so and so, therefore I will give it to this one. The physician must get such things entirely out of his mind. It is common features among who profess to the homeopath to say, I cured such and such case with such and such remedy. I will now give this patient the same remedy. I have many times met physicians in consultations who said, I have another patient, Mr. Z or Mr. X, who had a similar state of affairs, just such a disease as this, and I gave him so and so, but it does not work in this case. So many of the physicians have that habit, that is, they think that when they prescribe the medicine for patient, that is, for the bedside patient or any other patient, and in that they remember that I find that such patient, same patient, previously, and I prescribe such medicine for these patients, and this will uh, give the result. But now it may be the different condition, so the same medicine cannot be prescribed for the next patient. So, or in that he also explained that there are two patients, that is Z patient or a X patient, and for that patient I prescribe that medicine and that will work. Now for the next patient also, that having the similar disease condition, I prescribe the same medicine, but this is not so. You have not to prescribe the same medicine for the same disease condition, you appear only externally. So this may be the habit in many of the physicians, but it is a wrong habit. So in that, डॉक्टर केंट वॉन्ट्स टू एक्सप्लेन दॅट की जे काही असे फिजिशियन्स असतात की त्यांना सवय असते की मी पूर्वी पण असाच पेशंट बघितला होता, त्याला मी ही रेमेडी दिली होती, तर त्या रेमेडीने चांगलं काम केलं होतं तेव्हा, म्हणून मी आता ह्या पेशंटला पण तीच रेमेडी देतोय. पण फक्त एक्सटर्नली बघून आपण ते डिसाईड करू शकणार नाहीये की ही रेमेडी पण त्याला ऍक्ट करेल की नाही, कारण की त्याच्यामध्ये काहीतरी डिफरन्स असणार आहे. प्रत्येक पेशंटमध्ये काय डिफरन्स आहे. त्याच्यामुळं इट इज अ बॅड हॅबिट ऑफ अ फिजिशियन to prescribe the same medicine what he used in the past for the same disease condition. Then in next para, Dr. Kent explained with the reference of aphorism number 100, that is with regard to a search after the totality of the symptoms in epidemic and sporadic cases, it is wholly indifferent whether anything similar ever existed before in the world or not, under any name whatever. Keep that in your mind, under course it half a dozen times with red ink, paint it on the wall, put an index finger to it. One of the most important thing is to keep out of the mind in an examination of a case some other case that has appeared to be similar. If this is not done, the mind will prejudiced in spite of your best endeavors. I have to fight that with every fresh case I come to. I have to labor to keep myself from thinking about things I have cured like that before because it would prejudice my mind. So in that para, Dr. Kent explained the reference of aphorism number 100, that is with regards to a search after the totality of symptoms in epidemic and sporadic cases. It is wholly different whether anything similar existed before in the world or not, under any name whatever. So in epidemic cases or in sporadic cases, that is in last epidemic, I prescribe or we prescribe that medicine. Now in that epidemic, this is also the same epidemic, and we will prescribe the same medicine in that epidemic also, or in this epidemic also. So this is not a case, that is the epidemic what is present in last year, or the epidemic what is present in present year is totally different. And you have to make the habit that when each and every case comes to you, you have to take it properly, and it is a considering it as a different case. Even if you find some similarity in these cases, it is not the state that if you find some similarity you have to prescribe the same medicine what is you prescribed in a past or a previous cases. So you have to make the habit that you have to consider each and every case differently. You have to study each and every case differently. You have to work hard and prescribe the medicine. And if you do not do this, that if you think that previously I saw this, previously I give this medicine, so this will make the habit of in you, that is the prejudiceness, that is because it would prejudice your mind. So but our homeopathy teaches us that is never to be a prejudice. You should be an unprejudiced observer. Then and then only you can took a proper case, and you can form the proper record of a case and prescribe the proper medicine to that patient, that will lead to the permanent cure of your patient, and it will be the success of your patient, yours and your pathy. So in this it is explaining regarding the reference of aphorism number 100. Then in next para, Dr. Kent explained as the purpose of all this is that you will go away and examining the patient with an unprejudiced mind, that you will consider only the case before you, that you will have nothing in mind that will distract your attention, that you may not think of things that preceded it and find out from among them a remedy while examining the patient. If you biased in your judgment and examine the patient towards a certain remedy, in many instances this will prove to be a fatal. Have you have no remedy in mind until you have everything that you can get on a paper. Have it all written down carefully, and then if upon examining it in a relation to remedies you are capable to distinguish between three or four, you can go back and re-examining the patient with reference to those three or four remedies. So while recording the case, you should be having unprejudiced mind, and first you have to record each case carefully without any prejudiceness in the mind, and after record. Yes, are you able to listen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in this para, Dr. Kent explain about that is the unprejudiced observer. That is, you must be an unprejudiced observer and you record the case without any prejudiceness in the mind regarding the remedy. That is, that patient having that remedy or that patient having that remedy. And in this have it all written carefully, that is you have to write everything carefully. And if upon the examining in relation to remedies, that is after recording each and everything properly, if you have a 3 to 4 remedies in your mind, so in that case you can go back and re-examining the patient with reference to those 3 or 4 remedies, and then you have to prescribe the remedy without the prejudiceness. So this is explaining in this para. Then in next para, Dr. Kent explain as that is the only possible time you try to fit a remedy or image of a remedy while examining a patient. Get all the symptoms first and then commence your analysis in relation to remedies. That is, while recording the symptoms, you cannot think of remedy. That is, this symptom is present in that remedy or this symptom is present in that remedy. That is, while recording the case, you only focus on the collection of symptoms. That is, you have to form the portrait of a disease. So while recording the case in your mind, that is, you first record the case properly, get all the symptoms first, and then commence your analysis in relation to remedies. The analysis of sickness is for the purpose of gathering together that about it which is peculiar, for the peculiar thing relate to these two remedies. Sickness have in them that which is peculiar, strange and rare, and the things in sickness that may be wondered at are things to be compared with those in the remedy that are peculiar. Now in order to see that which is wonderful and strange, it is necessary for you to have much knowledge of disease and much knowledge of materia medica. So after recording the case, the second point comes, that is the analysis. That is, after recording the proper symptoms of a patient, then you have to analyze the case, and in that analysis you have to find what are the common symptoms and what are the uncommon symptoms. Means you have to find out the peculiar characteristics, uncommon symptoms that will indicate the remedy of your patient. And in that also, that is, now in order to see that which is wonderful and strange, it is necessary for you to have much knowledge of disease and much knowledge of materia medica. That is, while recording the symptoms also and for selection of remedy also, you have the both knowledge of disease also and the knowledge of materia medica also. That is, if you know the common thing about the disease, then and then only you can find what is the uncommon in it. If you don't know what is common of disease condition, you cannot find what is the uncommon in that patient. So it is very important to have the knowledge of disease also and to have the knowledge of materia medica also. Not then not so much an extensive knowledge of morbid anatomy, but a knowledge of the symptoms or the language that disease express itself in. So you have the proper knowledge of disease and the materia medica. In fact, we ought to regard the pure image of each prevailing disease as a thing that is new and unknown, and the study the same from its foundation. If we would really exercise the art of healing, a great deal depends upon a physician's ability to pursue what constitute the miasm. If he is dull of perceptions, he will intermingle symptoms that do not belong together. Hahnemann seems, that is. So for this reason, you must have a proper knowledge of disease materia medica also, and if you go through a proper case, then you can find out, or if you have a good ability, that is, if the physician have a good ability to pursue, in that case he can constitute the miasm of that patient also according to the symptom of patient. So Hahnemann seems to have had the most wonderful prescription. He seemed to see at a glance. Hahnemann was skillful in this respect because he was a hard student of materia medica and because he proved the materia medica daily, he had examining the remedies carefully, he saw them, he felt them, he realized them. We ought never to substitute hypothesis in the room of observation, never regard any case as already known. Now we see why it is that it does not make any difference with a physician whether he has seen such diseases before or not. The homeopathic physician is acquainted with the signs and symptoms of the man, and different disease is only a change in the combination of them, only a change in their manner, form, and representation. There is order, perfect order, in every sickness that presents itself, and it rests with the physician to find that order. The homeopathic physician need never be taken unawares. So in that, Dr. Kent explained about that is why Hahnemann succeed in each case. So in that he explained that Hahnemann goes to goes through each and every case where very carefully. That is, Hahnemann seemed to have had the most wonderful prescription. Why he has the most wonderful prescription? That is, he seemed to see at a glance. That is, at a glance he can see that case, or he can understand his patient. And Hahnemann was a skillful in this respect because he was a hard student of materia medica, and that skill of knowing the patient at a glance, it is not a magic, but it is gained due to the hard working, or he examined, that is hard student of materia medica because he proved his materia medica daily. That is, he has the keen knowledge of that materia medica, that he proved his materia medica daily, he examining the remedies carefully, he saw them, he felt them, he realized them, and due to this reason he makes the wonderful prescription in his lifetime. So to become a good homeopath, you must have a thorough knowledge of your subject, thorough knowledge of your materia medica, thorough knowledge of your disease condition. Then you have that diligentness, conscientiousness to study each and every case differently without the prejudiceness of mind, and you go through the every case properly, you do the hard work on that case, and then you prescribe the medicine without any prejudiceness. Then and then only you become a good homeopath, and your prescription also becomes the wonderful prescription. So the homeopathic physician need never be taken unaware. So as a homeopathic physician, you do not take any unawares in your work. So be aware in your work and do the good work of taking the case, doing the analysis, proper diagnosis of a patient, and proper knowledge of disease, proper knowledge of materia medica. Then and then only you become a good homeopath to prescribe the medicine to your patient to give them a permanent cure. So this is the chapter number 26, the continuation part of the examination of the patient. So in this chapter mainly we study the different points. That is, in firstly Dr. Kent explained about, that is, when two disease conditions meet together in body or form in a body, what treatment you have to give in that cases. So in that cases he give one exam. After this he give one example, that is of intermittent fever, and that intermittent fever gets complicated with the overtaking of quinine, that we call it as a quinine homeopathy, and that will form the two different disease condition in the body. So in that condition you have to first treat that disease condition which is most worst, and after this second disease condition you have to treat. But this is regarding the two disease condition of different nature. But if a patient is suffering from chronic disease and he has attack of a acute disease, so in that case you do not give the same medicine on a totality of acute and chronic disease. So in that case you have to give firstly or treat the acute condition, as acute disease suppresses the chronic condition for some time, and you have to treat that acute condition only with acute remedies, and after this you have to treat the chronic disease condition with chronic remedy. You have to not mix that acute and chronic disease condition. Then in next para he explained about, that is, when the acute disease condition gets suppressed, that leads to the formation of sora. So while treating the acute diseases directly, first you have to treat the acute disease, and when the acute disease gets suppressed, in that cases you have to use the antisoric medicine, or you have not to use it directly antisoric medicine for this acute condition. Then in next para Dr. Kent explain about, that is, the mistake done by many physicians regarding in past or in previous cases of such nature. I prescribe some medicine, or the same medicine will act now also, but it is not so. Each and every case is different, and you have to think for each and every case in different manner and prescribe in that same manner. Then in next para Dr. Kent give the reference of aphorism number 100 to give the importance of unprejudiced observer. That is, you must be an unprejudiced observer and not to prescribe the medicine on a prejudiced nature. Then in next para he explained about, that is, to become a good homeopath you must have a knowledge of disease also, you must have a knowledge of materia medica also, and you have that capacity of hard working. Then and then only you become a good homeopath, as like a honeyman, and you make a or you uh, do a good work in homeopathy, and in that way your system of homeopathy also give the wonderful results in your patients. So this is regarding the aphorism chapter number 26 from Kant's philosophy, that is the examination of the patient. So in this way we finished the examination of the patient, chapter number 23, 24, 25 and 26. I think all of you understand, and you have to make notes on these chapters, what are the different important points in these chapters. So please make the notes. When we meet in a college, I will see that notes. So I think all of you understand, or anyone having any difficulty?
No, ma'am.
समझ में आए हैं चैप्टर सब? We took all the chapters in detail. Yes, all of you understand? Yes, Akshay. After so many days I see you. Akshay. करते का अक्षय? आई एम नॉट
Yes, ma'am.
करते का?
Ma'am.
Okay, I am not able to listen you. Okay, so we finished the chapter from Kant's philosophy, that is chapter number, in this we finished, that is indisposition, idiosyncrasies, idealization, characteristics, the value of symptoms, the examination of the patient. So these topics we covered. Now in next week we will took the remaining topics, that is remaining. So we will stop here, or anyone having any difficulty, or can I end the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so bye everyone.